Oh, what a beautiful Monday we have. And this beautiful day to be alive. We are in our energy, coming into our center. If you've been practicing with us for these last several days, then you know that we begin with the feet, grounding, connecting to a stable foundation, and then connecting that all the way up through the rest of the body. The biggest thing that I want you to take away today is that the mind controls the body. So the thoughts that you are thinking have a direct effect on your body. And the practice of Tai Chi is so beautiful that it allows you to come into a sense of more thoughtful focus because of the mindfulness of everything we do. Now, Yogilachi, we practice that with our yoga and with our Pilates, and that's really the foundation of these beautiful ancient teachings. Pilates a little bit more recent. So when we come into our body, we are having a moment where we can actually reintegrate or sync up the mind and the body in the present moment. And when we practice the chi part of it, the qigong and the energy, we are also recognizing and acknowledging within ourselves that universal connection, that we are one with the universe. The universe is all around us. The universal energy is within us, that we are part of it and that we are one. And when you really come into that sense of knowing this idea of the duality of the push and pull, or the resistance, the push and the resistance that naturally is going to happen, let's go. Because there is no opposing side. So that yin yang that we see of balancing is actually fabricated, or it's not part of the universe, because the universe is one whole. And so in practicing Qigong and that Tai Chi, we are reconnecting to that oneness. So I invite you to breathe that in today in our short practice together. And we'll start with our connection with our feet and understand first with our bodies. We're not separate from the body. The mind and the body are one, and they are connected. The mind, the body, and the universe, the energy, the spirit, the grace, the divine are one. They're all connected. We're not separate from that. And that's our superpower. That's the genie in the bottle. You are the genie in the bottle. We just have to reconnect to that and remind ourselves, oh yeah, I'm part of the whole. I'm part of that nature. You're not separate. And that's the mistake that we often think, right? So let's begin with our breath, connecting to that deep, beautiful breath. Breathing in through the nose, bring it all the way down, deep into the lower dantian, into the lungs, into the upper lungs without bringing the shoulders to the ears. Soft smile, soft gaze, soft thoughts, emptying, maybe just a pleasant thought, a pleasant smile. And then we'll begin with our breathing practice, and I'm going to have you bring the arms forward today. So we'll have the hands resting on an imaginary balloon, and we'll soften the knees just a little bit. Let's have the hands float up on a helium balloon and rise gently without the shoulders having to lift. And we'll begin to feel the practice of being more buoyant, more light, more pliable, as if you're floating in warm water. Maybe a nice warm salt water, mineral bath. And the water carries those arms, that the arms naturally float up. And just notice how that can ease away tension in the body by just practicing that. Now we'll just do a quick check-in of alignment. And so when we're in alignment, the head is on top of the body. And we'll continue that flow. So now let's focus on that breath, inhaling, shoulders staying relaxed, elbows soft, fingers soft, but open. Let the hands float through a little bit of that dense energy. And so now we'll begin with our feet once again. We'll go down to the energy of the feet, and we're going to work on our balance. So we've got our alignment from the crown of your head all the way down. We're going to lift up one toe. If you can see my feet, I'm lifting one at a time. And as you lift one toe up, that may give a sense of different perception. It's okay, just be with it and be breathing centered in that. And then relax that toe down. Lift the other toes up, all the way up. If you can come up so that your toes, top of the foot, the ball of the foot is off the floor, then that's what we'll do. And then let's bring that down. Now we're going to bring both toes up off the floor, both feet. And if you can go up on your heels just a little bit, do that. And then bring them back down and settle. And then just settle and relax into that. Now, again, I'll remind you that we're zipped up in our center and that we always move from our dantian. So we have a connection and activation of our core at our center. And as a result, all of the muscles around that center are active and alive and wrapping and hugging the bones. And so we'll lift up the toes once again. And as you lift those toes, see if you can come off the ball of the foot for a moment and be on the heels, lifting up to the sky though, not leaning back. If your sensory is naturally that you're going to fall backwards, that's a communication that lets us know what's happening. There might be a little bit of an imbalance, and that's okay. We're just assessing right now. This is part of the process of resetting autopilot for the brain, just resetting the autopilots. Now we're going to lift up onto our toes, onto the ball of our feet, and off the heels. So we'll start with one at a time. Let's just go ahead and start with one at a time just to ease into this. If you would like to go to both now, you can go ahead and take both. And as you lift up towards the sky as opposed to leaning forward, notice that the balance might come off. But if you come from your center, you can lift up and you can feel more activation at your center. If you didn't have your center on, you probably feel a lot more calves. But we want to remember that the whole body is integrated and can work in this beautiful, harmonious way. Just as if we're in that deep, beautiful, warm mineral bath. And so we can use that. We're a little advanced with the eyes closed. At some point, you want to be able to do that to where your eyes are closed and soften and floating up and down. Okay, so that is, once again, setting autopilot for the brain. Remember, the mind controls the body. It's not the other way around. So when we can get the brain, the mind, to come back online and to help the parts of the body that have maybe turned off or gone off because we didn't think we needed, the mind didn't think it needed it, then we can have a lot more power. And that the weaker parts of the chain that tend to have to pick up the slack for muscles that turn off can come back on. So we're always focused on that. We're always working to bring that back online. Not because we want to do more work, but we want the machine, we want our bodies to work properly. We want it to work optimally, let's say. And so if we start putting everything on autopilot, there's certain mechanisms in our mind, in our computer brain, that will naturally want to shut things off that aren't needed. So we have to turn them back on and we have to reconnect them, reboot, and then come back into our positioning. So for posture, for balance, and a calm sense of focus, this practice of Tai Chi is very beautiful. It is so simple. We're literally in that warm bath and the hands are floating up as the first practice. Because we're going to take the weight out of the right leg first and we'll shift. We're going to lift up the toes of that right foot and we're going to pivot on the heel. And most of the weight right now, about 70%, will be in that standing leg. And we're going to place our heel out in front of us. But it doesn't mean that we're going to transfer the weight just yet. We still have a sense of anchor and stability. We want to have that stability first before we go into a sense of that mobility. Because if we transfer the weight to something from something that's unstable to another unstable, you're going to find where it's much easier to fall or have those trips if there's a rock under your foot or you're out jogging or hiking, and then ankle twists. Well, it's because we haven't found our center. So if you walk and you move in a way where you have a center first, if your foot's not going to be stable because you're off of surface, then you're going to have to bring more power from the other stabilizers. So the movement in Tai Chi that we can practice with that is the forward and back at these angles. The forward motion, even though we're moving off to the side, allows us to create a sense of that spine being up and down erect, but still being able to turn on it. And so we want to be able to practice that and be in that state of calmness to work on that balance. So don't worry about the hands so much right now. We're not going to worry about a form. I just want you to be able to shift from here, and then we can just play with the hands of expanding, playing with that energy, playing with that warm, thick mineral water as if it's flowing through there, and then just balancing back and forth, inhaling. And then we'll pivot off that and come back to center. And if you'll notice when you practice this, there's a natural toning that's going on within the legs. But as you practice this, there's not a dumping into one leg as you empty the other leg. You could lift off one leg and still have a very strong, stable, rooted leg, rather than getting this, oh, I'm all off balance. And that comes from being connected to that and rooted into that physical powerhouse, that mental powerhouse, and being centered and calm. So as you practice this, you will find how very subtle the movements are. Without, once again, I'm not doing any kind of form training right now. I'm just moving through and letting the body feel these nuances and sensing itself. So it's proprioception. So we want to see, how does the body feel? We want to feel how the body feels. Are you aware of the toes right now? Are you aware of where your hands are? That's just proprioception. It's you're being aware of where your body is in relationship to something else or in time and space. And so as we practice that, as we get more connected, reintegrated with our mind, our thoughts, and our body, it's much easier to begin a practice of whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's skiing, whether it's dancing, whether it's playing a musical instrument. You have that much more control over your amazing body. And that is really primary to what Yogilachi is about, is restoring your ability to be connected and integrated to your body. Nothing outside of you. There's not some magic pill or something outside of us. It comes from within, and that's where the true power is. And a lot of times, folks, there's people that could be afraid of you having your own power, and that's a shame. But that's just a game. That's part of the duality of the universe. Is that there's unconditional love, and then there's the fear, and there's all of that. But this practice, coming back to this yin-yang flow, when you can allow for harmony in any kind of practice, this simple one leg forward and back. Once again, if you're doing any of this with me and just flowing through here, you can take away any idea of what you should be doing, of right and wrong, or some specific, I need to be doing this, and reintegrate to yourself and find out what feels really good. I love practicing in nature first thing in the morning, just stepping out on my patio and allowing for my body just to feel what it feels like. Sometimes I'll reach up and stretch to the stars, and it just feels right. Sometimes I'll reach out and stretch to the trees, and that just feels right. So what does it feel right for you? What feels right for you in your body, in your amazing machine? I encourage you to reintegrate to that and find out for yourself. That's such a gift to remember your wholeness and remember that you are whole and you're perfect and strong and harmonious, and there's so much beauty within that connection. And again, the mind controls the body. And so starting with that practice, starting with coming into the breath and the center can make a huge difference. I have so many more videos, so many structured videos if you want more of that. But during this time, I really wanted to take about 10, 11 minutes for these last 11 days and give you some insight into yourself, into your own body, and hopefully so that you can take back your well-being, your balance, your function, your structure, your calm focus without someone telling you what to do. But instead coming back into your center and starting to feel into what feels right for me, for my body. Breathing that in, rekindling some trust. There might be some betrayed trust from your body and from your mind, and there may be some conflict there. And if there is, what would you do to your most cherished, most beloved friend? There might need to be some forgiveness. There might need to be some transmuting of some energy, and that's okay. So take the time, and I invite you to look into that and take the time that you need to do that. Take the space, make the space, create a framework for yourself to build a personal practice of connecting to your wholeness physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, etherically, connecting to your surroundings in a more natural way, in a more holistic way, and see if that doesn't invite more connection to your truth, connection to your happiness, to your purpose, to fulfillment. I send peace and love and harmony and blessings to every universal energy as we are connected as one. This is what I fundamentally believe, and beliefs are just thoughts we keep thinking. So if you're not loving your beliefs and those beliefs are not serving you, I encourage you to think of something different and choose wisely what those thoughts are that are taking up space in your lovely brain that will come out in a reflection in your body. So you get to choose there. Peace and blessings.